I'm Debbie.
And I'm Alison.
And we're the Poltergals. Spooky.
Hi, I'm Alison.
And I'm Debbie.
And we're
The Poltergals.
And for all you sexy ghosts out there, well, you are in for a hoot for the
unedited version of this episode.
Unedited. And if you're not a sexy ghost on our Patreon, well, you
what
should be.
What are you doing? You gotta be it.
It's only $10 a month.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/polterpals.
Yeah.
Join us today and go to our Patreon and come and support us. And you get access to all unedited episodes.
And if you're Debbie and you're asking how many cups of coffee will that equal out to?
About 2 to 3.
Actually, if you're going to Starbucks, maybe 1.
Maybe 1. Just don't get a venti.
that's just 1 cup of coffee that you can sacrifice, right?
Yeah, sacrifice coffee for your ghost content. And that's us telling you now. Go to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/polterpals. Check it out. That was a wonderful segue, Alison, into a little fresh little ad there, right there.
Oh, I try.
Wow.
I try. It's almost like I was not trying to advertise our non-existent ads.
Yeah.
So if you want to be an ad on our podcast, please feel free to message us and let us know, and we will may or may not do that, but you know.
Shoot us an email at thepoltergals@gmail.com, and you can find out more information online on our socials at the Poltergals, _Poltergals, and then we're also on Facebook. So again,
Facebook,
just
the Insta, the YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, and we got TikTok. Go and follow our TikTok now.
The Ticks of Talks.
The Ticks of Talks. We've been making them. I feel so much older than I need to feel on the internet. We posted our most recent ghost hunting trip to Utopia Essentials on our TikTok and our Instagram Reels. If you've not already checked that out, if you have a location you would like us to come and check out, don't forget to submit. And of course, we have listener tales. Don't forget to send us your listener tales again to our email. That's thepoltergals@gmail.com, where we can read off your stories. That's right. We want to hear your stories. We want to be the vessels in which get out your stories.
Yeah. And I kind of feel bad because we were just talking about one that someone had requested not to, it's been a while. It's been a while.
We had
at
a
least
listener
6 months.
request,
and
we're finally doing it.
We've had the research sitting there.
Yeah.
But we've been trying to wait for 1, more information, and 2, really the right time when there's really no right time for it.
Yeah.
But it was really just finding something that will pop up. And the other day I found something because me being me watching Ghost Adventures found that thing that
found the thing about the thing that we're going to do.
Yeah.
So again, if you guys also have any recommendations or any places you want us to cover, reach out now.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
So this is going to be the Unitarian Graveyard, which is in Charleston, South Carolina.
Ooh, we're booping to the south of South Carolina.
So I'm kind of,
Alison's still a little sicky, guys.
Yeah, listen. Coming from a double ear infection, bronchitis. All at the same time, and then getting cleared up, and then all of a sudden
the weather changing again.
I'm literally
wearing a jacket in the studio. But also check out my Rogue Con 23 shirt. Amazing. Our live episode coming soon also.
Yes. That was a whole thing in itself.
And can you guess what shirt Alison's wearing?
A Baylor one, of course.
It's a Baylor shirt.
You're welcome. Another little quick sidetracked story, but my mom yesterday got mad at me for that very thing.
Wearing a Baylor shirt?
Yes.
Wow.
She was like,
I'm going to text her and be like, your daughter's wearing a Baylor shirt again.
She looked at me and then she goes, why do you own nothing but Baylor shirts?
It's her fault.
I looked at her, I said, it's funny. It's almost like this problem began 25 years ago, 3 months after I was born. I wonder whose fault this could be. Wow. And she was like, yeah, you see, you're an adult now, so that's not my fault.
Wow.
And
being an adult, here you are. Well, I'm excited. I'm sorry you're still feeling sick, but this is gonna be a good episode. You'll make it through. You got your cough drops.
I forgot them in the green room.
Oh my gosh! Well, we're gonna have to suffer through this episode now. We'll join together. She can edit it and post.
I hope.
I hope.
I mean, to be fair,
just bring our levels up.
To be fair, this week has the last few days really, like yesterday and today, have been better than. Yeah,
that's good. And
last
now
week.
We're here today to record, and it'll be good.
I say that, and I definitely feel like I have to cough. So,
just warning, guys. Just a warning. Alison now has cough drops, and now we're getting into the episode.
Yeah. Out of the 500 sidetracks that we had, but that's fine.
You guys love us for our banter.
Do they?
I don't know.
Do they really?
Maybe.
So, this, like we said, South Carolina, this church is known to be the second oldest in the city, and it was built in 1772.
Back in the 1700s. You know what that means. It's haunted.
It's even spookier.
It's even spookier.
And it gets better because, you know, all the good things happened in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It was rebuilt in 1854.
Wow.
So.
And you know, rebuilds cause more paranormal activity.
Yeah.
So that's even great. That's even better.
Who needs for it to be built once? The churchyard is, of course, supposedly haunted.
Who knew?
And many believe it is the subject of one of Edgar Allan Poe's most famous poems, Annabel Lee.
Ah, yes. And I'll read a little section of that poem in the Hauntings.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited because we both have Edgar Allan Poe's complete book, which at some point I hope to...
She's not read it yet. I cannot believe you've not heard the poem Annabel Lee.
Well, I haven't heard, I haven't read it, and then hopefully we will get around to reading his stuff because...
We're planning on doing some more spooky, terrifying tales with Edgar Allan Poe coming up.
Yeah, if y'all saw the amount of books we have for terrifying tales, it is, yikes.
We got to do a lot of research, a lot of reading.
It's more like a lot of reading, and then like the books are there.
And then the editing.
That's more me.
Yeah.
Me, if y'all haven't noticed, me, words, reading don't go together. So.
It's okay.
Annabelle, though, she was a woman who
Charleston, South Carolina.
Lived in Charleston before the Civil War broke out. She fell in love with a sailor who was stationed at a nearby naval base. But unfortunately, her father did not approve of them and even forbid her from seeing him.
Sad.
Which I don't know why. First of all, if she falls in love with the guy that's in the military, why would she disapprove? The guy's in the military.
It was a different time back then.
The guy's in the military.
Yeah,
what much more could you ask for?
Yeah, but he was probably going to die. And the dad was like, you're too good for him. I need to pay someone more goats for my daughter's dowry.
Whatever. I don't understand that. Imagine like nowadays you going like dating someone from the military and then your parents are like, how dare you?
Hey man, that everybody has different values, you know? I get it. As no,
these people
family,
are just
I get it.
These people are just giving their lives for us to do whatever.
Our country.
Literally for us to...
God bless America.
Like, these people are literally giving up their lives for us to do what we want to do.
Listen, man, all I can say is a different time back in the day.
Like, this podcast probably wouldn't be a thing if people... We'd probably be stuck in, like, places like North Korea if it weren't for people giving up their lives for us to have places.
I feel like those are some big jumps, Alison, you're making there. You're making some big, sweeping generalizations that I don't necessarily agree with. But you know what? That's fine. Get on back on track.
It proves the point, doesn't it?
Great. Okay, perfect.
I never said I 100% agreed with them. I'm just saying we could be stuck in those places.
You know what? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Although, just like we couldn't agree on this, they couldn't agree on that. And so the two, unfortunately, couldn't stay apart and would often meet up at the Unitarian cemetery.
Getting freaky in the cemetery.
That's such a bad place.
No. True love in the cemetery.
Okay, Romeo and Juliet.
I love it. I think it's cute. I wish my lover would meet me in the cemetery.
You live next to a cemetery.
I know. We could walk to the cemetery all the time.
So
I posted some cute pictures on our Instagram. So again, if you're not following us, check out the _poltergals on Instagram.com. And you can maybe see some of the photos I took.
And we also need to go for another photo shoot.
Yay!
So, yeah. So one night when they were walking in the cemetery,
Ooh.
Annabelle's father saw the two and then became furious and decided to lock her in a room for several months as punishment.
Oof, we got a Rapunzel situation on our hands.
I'm sorry, no thanks. During that time, Annabelle was locked in her room. The sailor she loved was then transferred back to Virginia, and the two were never able to see each other again.
Bum, bum, bum.
Months later, Annabelle died of yellow fever, though many claim it was of a broken heart that actually killed her.
Oh, that's so sad. But yeah, everybody died of yellow fever back then,
I mean,
as we've talked about. And tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, because apparently the only good medical advice they could tell you was
go get some fresh air.
Go get some fresh air. And of course, my phone over here be buzzing.
I went professional.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's really sad.
So, after her death, the sailor then learned of her passing and arranged to come back to Charleston to visit her grave. The father suspected that this might happen and had Annabelle's grave placed beneath others in the family and left the site unmarked, which could explain why her name isn't in the church's records. And the sailor never found which plot belonged to his lover.
Ugh, and you know what they say about unmarked graves? That's the worst.
Like, that's horrible to sit there and have to be in an unmarked grave, to be buried even beneath your other family members. Like, you're not even even in death, you weren't worth being buried. Whatever.
So sad.
It's sad. Another popular story revolves around another female, which was by the name of Mary Bloomfield.
I love that last name. Bloomfield.
Dude, that's so...
Sounds so romantic.
So nice.
I love it. We're getting into our lovey-dovey era as we're entering into February. I'm already full Valentine's out.
I'm no.
Did you ask your husband to be your Valentine, or did he ask you to be his Valentine?
No.
I made Cameron ask me to be his Valentine.
No.
What? Are you guys gonna do anything for Valentine's Day?
No. That
Alison doesn't believe in true love, everybody.
That's disgusting.
Well, back to Mary Bloomfield. She believed in love, Alison. Do it for her.
I don't think she had a choice because of her last name, but
wow.
Miss Bloomfield, though, she was a resident of Charleston for more than 100 years ago. She believed that she was happily married, but her husband departed for Boston on a business trip one night.
In quotation marks.
And was never to return. Miss Bloomfield was heartbroken, and some say that they have seen her ghost wandering the paths of the Unitarian cemetery, where she is still looking for her husband.
So sad.
The church is on the National Historic Register, and during the Revolutionary War, the church was used for barracks, and a lot of the church did end up getting destroyed, and that's why it was having to be rebuilt in 1854.
Wow.
Many people are concerned that the cemetery looks abandoned and run down, but there are some unknown reasons for that.
Interesting. Wow.
So,
yeah, that's a nice little history. That's not all. That's pretty sad though.
Yeah.
Well, you know what time it is.
Break. Commercial break. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Spooky. Okay. I'm going to read it after she fell ill. I'm going to be like, and now I'll read an excerpt from the poem.
Okay. Cool.
What is this episode brought to us by, Alison?
I don't know. What is it brought to us by?
Cough Drops by HEB. Yet again.
Oh, again.
Again.
How nice. It's apparently the only thing that's keeping
Alison afloat.
That and the loads of Texaclear, which is also an HEB product.
Shout out HEB. Have you tried the under tongue allergy?
So I use the Texaclear. It's basically the same thing. It's just the pill, like the
Yeah,
chewable pill.
Yeah.
But
I heard the little droppies do better, but I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
I'm scared.
the little chewable.
They're also like $30 for a little bottle.
Yeah, that's why it's like 35. They have this huge one
Mm-hmm.
at Wooded Acres.
Yeah.
But it was like $35.
I love the Wooded Acres remodel. It looks so good.
Dude, it looks.
I'm obsessed.
It looks amazing, and I'm not gonna lie though. It looks exactly like the opening when I had to go help open Lubbock.
Really?
That's like the
They're
same
trying to
setup.
model it exactly.
They're all trying to get them all to look pretty
They're
much exactly the same.
organizing. Wow.
And it's semi-disgusting,
Well,
but
I think it's cute though. I think
it looks
I like
nice.
it. It looks nice.
It definitely looks a lot better
Looks
than what it
did.
used to.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. Like, it's time for an update. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to do it, even if it's going to cost a lot of money.
No, this one definitely needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of wish they did the 19th location.
Yeah. Well, they're planning on doing that coming up next year.
They better, because that one definitely needs it.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know what this is, these are all HEBs here. And where we are, obviously, we've said it a million times in Waco, but
we love us some HEB.
yeah. I'm kind of sad. It's crazy to think that we had 8 HEBs here.
Wow.
And now we only have, I mean, I say that, it's only 3 more stores, but
Mm-hmm.
like, it's crazy to think that we only have 5. But that's also including Belmead, so.
Okay.
Wow, and Debbie's over here checking her phone.
I got a text message. I'm sorry.
Gross. Good thing this is all commercial.
Okay.
And now, back to the show.
Spooky. And we're back. You know what time it is now? It's time
Spookies?
for the hauntings.
Hey, spookies.
Spooky time. So of course, the cemetery is said to be haunted by many spirits, and as you already mentioned, the most notorious being Miss Annabelle Lee herself. So the first of these spirits is Annabelle Lee, and her story is a sad one, as you just said. So they have said that they've seen her in the cemetery walking around, and that her name was actually Anna Rivenel. However, unfortunately, again, her grave is actually unmarked, and it said that her father buried her underneath maybe other family members. And that's part of the reason why her spirit is, unrested and still wanders the earth. And then also the love of her sailor, who she never got to actually be with. And she died of, a broken heart. Her father did not approve of their love, and disapproved so much that then whenever her soldier got stationed away, she had a broken heart and then eventually died of yellow fever or possibly just a deep, deep depression. So that's super sad, as we were talking about. She fell ill because of this. And as a fun little treat, I'm actually going to read a section of the poem for Alison of the poem
Yay.
Annabelle Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. So that's exciting. Are you ready? You've never heard this before.
I think so. Can I just say I'm also super, excited to read some of these, older, what you would think of Gothic novels,
Yeah.
like Edgar Allan Poe, Mary
We got a bunch
Shelley.
of stories from the 1800s, but apparently the author wouldn't let us read them, so oops, sorry. But we still have some more stuff coming for you guys,
Yeah.
so don't worry.
I mean, that kind of stuff, if, we just have to do a little bit more research, but
Mhm.
that's
We'll
fine.
just keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, and now on to Annabelle Lee. It was many and many a year ago.
Oh, hold on. Let me get Wilkie really fast.
No.
I'm
You're
just
good.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Please,
Wilkie,
no.
if you're listening to this,
I'm sorry.
yeah, we're very sorry.
We're very sorry. Okay. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden lived there whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee. with a love that the winged septs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in the kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee. And for her kingdom kingsmen came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sculpture in this kingdom by the sea. And that is the only part I'll read for us today. Go and see the full version of the poem. If you just Google it, you can probably find it. This one's from poetryfoundation.com. And if you just search Annabel Lee, it will pull up immediately. And it's really interesting because in this version of the poem, it says, a wind blew in from a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee. But in the original poem that my parents, or like I grew up hearing, or like I think even in my book, it says, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling and killing my beautiful Annabel Lee.
Oh.
So I think they took out the and killing part, which I think is interesting.
It's interesting to see how things evolve, and I mean,
and I'm sure like we're gonna have to find his original works. We saw an what was it, like a 1900 version, 1930 something.
Yeah,
version
I
of the book. So it's in the Great American Literature book of Edgar Allan Poe's works. So I wonder what version is in there. But again, growing up, I just always heard it chilling and killing my Annabel Lee.
It's interesting though, because like in the theater world, you have adaptations, and seeing those kind of different adaptations and how they change even the slightest things, because it has to fit, especially educationally, it has to fit that mold. Yeah. And so certain things...
That's probably why it got cut.
Yeah, certain things have to get cut or just thrown out
and
altogether.
Again, like, through translations, I'm sure also. And also hundreds of years. Well, not hundreds, but still. Well, yeah. Anyway, so that is the story of Annabel Lee, where I'm leaving off on the poem. Again, it said that her spirit, I know we've talked about Mark Twain, we've talked about Edgar Allan Poe, and we've talked about some amazing American literary heroes, and kind of stuff. So it's kind of, we love kind of throwing in that kind of stuff. Yeah. Being like, Edgar Allan Poe, check this out. But anyway, that's one of the most famous stories. Another famous story is a woman that many visitors have seen around the cemetery, and she's actually the spirit of a Latvian fisher. So again, Charleston is located right next to the sea, so that it's a big, place for fishers and people on boats to go to. Some visitors believe that they see a lady in white, of course, in the cemetery, and they believe that this is famous Charleston serial killer Latvian fisher. Story said that she is the first female serial killer ever in America. She owned a hotel in town, and she and her husband would take advantage of male travelers in the area. They would get friendly with them, and Latvian would poison their tea. They would then fall asleep, and the two of them would rob them and slit their throats.
Oh, I'm going to copy and paste this, because this might be a really cool story for us to do.
Yay!
If we can...
More bonus stories.
Yeah, so hopefully we can... Anyway, while I'm doing this, if you want to continue.
Well, Latvian and her husband were actually hanged. And when she was asked if she had any last words, she said, I quote, "I have nothing to say to God, because I'll be dancing with the devil in the morning." How badass are those words? How badass is that quote? I love that. I mean, please don't murder people and rob them, but that's a pretty hardcore quote. Like, to say, like you're about to be hanged. What are you gonna say? That's
and then imagine
straight bars.
Imagine hearing that and be like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah, I'm sure they're like, "You're crazy, lady." Okay. But anyway, many paranormal fans don't believe that the lady that walks the cemetery is her, because of her mention of the devil. So they think that obviously her spirit's in hell, and that there would be no way that she would be walking the earth to this day. But some think that she's found her final resting place, and it's not as a spirit here. It is, in fact, in hell. But also maybe she is demonic. So maybe this woman in white is just luring people into the afterlife.
Yikes.
Anyway, that's a whole other theology we'll have to get into. Another story from visitors to the cemetery is from a husband and wife couple. The couple decided to walk through the cemetery, as me and my hubby do. We're so cute. And check it out. Also, the reason why we go through the cemetery, guys, it's a Pokestop. So we started playing Pokemon Go again. This is just an aside. So the cemetery has a lot of Pokestops and a lot of Pokemon. So, Alison, I'm sorry.
That's... I don't think those two things should be said in the same sentence ever again.
Well,
Pokemon and cemeteries.
Pokemon in the cemetery.
This is a resting place, Debbie.
Well, anyway, I'm sorry. I always say hello to the spirits, though, and I always am good, and I say hi. I went and said hi to Mr. and Mrs. Strange.
They are probably my favorite.
Yeah, I love them. They're our friends from beyond the grave. We took pictures by their graveside and, of course, asked for permission, and then try to say hi to them regularly. As to just, be mindful. Whatever, just weirdo things.
I really hope that he was a doctor.
I hope so, too.
I really hope he was a doctor.
And what's better than Mrs. and Mr. Strange? We love you guys. Anyway, the couple decided to walk through the cemetery and check it out, just as we do. Not Pokemoning, though. This was back in the day. They had never actually heard any of the tales that were ever associated with the graveyard either, but they decided it looked pretty interesting and just wanted to go explore because, that's what you do. That's back in the day.
I know that's what I do.
They said it was very overgrown and needed some landscaping really badly. Again, the cemetery is not necessarily in the best of shape. And as soon as they started talking about it, an old man showed up, and he was using like a very old lawnmower to mow the grounds, which I assume is like one of those they used to push with like a revolving blade. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. I don't know if that's actually what they saw. But he was like this just old man mowing the grounds, and they're like, oh, okay. So he nodded to the couple as they walked by, but he never actually made eye contact because he was working. The couple continued to walk around the cemetery and commented on how odd of an interaction that was with the old man. They're like, oh, that's weird. Like, why was that old man being weird about it? I don't know. And as they were about to go back to the front entrance, they then saw the old man seated on a bench as they walked by. So again, they're like, oh, this guy's just taking care of the grounds, whatever. The couple then walked around another area of the church for about 10 minutes and then wanted to go back out to check on the man and be like, is he okay? He's an old man doing yard work. Nah, whatever. When they returned to the cemetery, he was gone. Mm-hmm. The couple started talking about how he had a lawnmower and he was pushing it, but it actually never made any noise, or they noticed that it even cut the grass. They knew that they had seen the ghost of the man who used to keep up the landscaping there.
Oh.
So they realized, they're like, wait a second, this isn't adding up. So
imagine like processing.
Well, we've talked about that. What was the other grave cemetery we talked about? I think it was in like France or Paris or wherever, or in Spain.
I don't know.
And then the groundskeeper like literally was taking care of the grounds and then killed himself in the cemetery.
I forget where it was, but I want to say it was France or Spain.
Yeah,
I can't remember which one.
It was like the biggest cemetery, and he was the groundskeeper that took care of it.
I want to say Catacombs of Paris, but I don't think that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, it's somewhere over there. This seems European. But yeah, so we've actually heard stories about the groundskeepers before.
Yeah.
I feel like groundskeepers have like a really close tie with the spirits that are in the cemeteries. And like there's just like some sort of connection there that they feel on a deep level. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the groundskeepers continue to take care of it.
I mean, I hope so.
I hope so too. I think it's like one of those things where we hope for the best. The last spirit that many think they've seen is actually that of Mary Whitridge. The story is about Mary and how she's buried in the cemetery. She lived near the Cooper River with her husband, and her husband was a smoker and had terrible breathing problems. Same girl. I got asthma. She got bronchitis. What we doing?
I don't think that's a great combination.
Not a great
smoking.
Combo. I mean, I
and
don't
then
smoke,
having breathing problems. Like,
don't smoke, kids. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. I'm a 50-year-old smoker. I've been smoking a pack every day since I was 14 years old.
No, don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Anyway, so her husband then ended up getting very ill, and he had to go to Baltimore for the doctors there, because this was, again, back in the day when they just couldn't go everywhere. And then when they were on their way to Baltimore, he actually then got sick on their ship and died. Mary was sent a letter about his death, and she never contacted the coroner in Baltimore. So he actually then now has an unmarked grave there in the cemetery, because she never got his body back, and she never got in touch with the coroner in Baltimore. So her husband's life was just lost. She never got a follow-up with him.
But wait, there's more.
Well, the reason she never contacted them is because she collapsed and then died in her own home.
That's unfortunate.
She died on the exact same day that her husband died, and she's buried in their family plot in the cemetery. And again, he has an unmarked grave because she was never able to contact them. That's so sad.
That's horrible.
Many people believe that their bond was so close that she, of course, also died of heartbreak, because she knew that something was wrong with her husband. Others say that she too was ill, but had not been diagnosed with an illness because she was more worried about her husband's health than her own health, which, all the moms out there, you can understand. And then no matter what happened or how, it's still a very creepy coincidence. Those who have seen the lady in white in the cemetery think it might be Mary looking for her husband, since the plot beside her grave still remains empty to this day. Perhaps she's still trying to find him so she can tell him where to go, and so that they can cross over to the other side and be together forever in the end.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. I love that this episode's like very lovey-dovey. Like, this is perfect for Valentine's Day. I mean, I know, like, it's still gross and still really sad, but we're talking about a lot of love, and I love love.
Gross.
Of course, they do offer night tours of the Unitarian Church Cemetery. They're available with Tour Charleston, and there are times and tickets available on their website. That's tourcharleston.com. For those of you who would rather visit during the daylight hours, you might not see any ghosts, but that's okay. It's still a beautiful cemetery. The cemetery is open 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday through Sunday. This is one of those places that really just has a lot of history behind it. And again, we like to think of Edgar Allan Poe and Annabelle Lee. And again, the stories of the other people that lived in this place, and, just the stories of the surrounding community. That's kind of cute. Cute to think about. And, again, we don't try to keep all scary, dark, death, sadness. And I mean, I know this is sad, but it's still true love, Alison. You don't understand.
Some of us like to keep it in the cold darkness, but
not me.
It doesn't always work out like that, okay?
Anyway, well, that was the story of the Unitarian Graveyard. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Poltergals. Don't forget, we've given a many plugs for all of our social medias. So please go follow us, send us your listener tales, and of course, check us out on patreon.com/polterpals, and go check out our TikTok.
Yeah. And, we have been posting all of our stuff on YouTube as well. Mm-hmm. Hopefully in these next few weeks, and by that I mean the next week-ish or so, we will have more stuff in there.
Boop, boop.
Because Debbie is
I'm a busy gal.
She's going to a true crime podcast thing.
Whoop, whoop.
And then I am going to
a live ghost
paranormal investigation.
Yay.
So, yeah.
All right. And that's all for this week. Thank you for tuning in to
The
Poltergals.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Poltergals,
a Rogue Media Network podcast.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.